forum for the district, or for Yavapai County for District 2 Supervisors Forum. I am Mary Shaquin, and I am a member of the League of Women Voters, and I am your moderator for this evening's event. The League of Women Voters would like to thank the Cliff Castle Hotel for the use of this room this evening. We appreciate all of the setup and how they have accommodated us this evening. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political organization and neither supports nor opposes any candidate or political party. Our mission is to encourage informed and active participation in government, work to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. For the benefit of those who are unable to join us this evening, as you can tell, this forum is being videotaped by Ryan Nichols of Yavapai Broadcasting, Verde Valley Television. It will be broadcast on Cable 1, Channel 2, and a link will be available on their website at verdevalleytv.com, and there is also going to be a link on the League of Women Voters website, and that's lwvsedona-verdevalley.com. or .org, excuse me. I would ask if anyone decides that they want to use the broadcast this evening, that you please present it in its entirety instead of cutting and pasting it, which makes sense. Also, Ryan has also given us the schedule. This forum will be broadcast 3 times a week until the election. It will be Sunday at 1 p.m., Tuesday at 9 p.m., and Friday at 1 p.m. The purpose of this forum this evening is to inform and educate ourselves about the candidates running for Yavapai County Supervisor in District 2. All of you probably know our candidates, but let me quickly introduce them in actually the order they will be speaking this evening: Tom Thurman, Buck Buchanan, and Wes Lance. Each of these candidates are going to begin with a 2-minute opening comments. And then we will be asking them 2 prepared questions, and then taking your questions from the audience. I would like to introduce Dick Kiesel, who is our timekeeper this evening. He has 3 signs. They all love them: 1 minute, 30 seconds, and then stop. You get to finish your sentence, but then you have to stop, and we will cut you off. I'm really good at that, okay? Following the opening statements, the candidates will then be asked 2 questions that we gave them in advance, and they will have 3 minutes to answer each one of those questions. And as I said before, we will rotate the person who starts answering the questions. As the candidates are speaking and answering their questions, I invite you, the audience, to write questions. All of you probably received 3x5 cards when you came in this evening. Also, I've seen some of you already writing questions, which is wonderful. If you have a question, raise your hand, and one of the assistants in the back will come and pick them up. This evening, I'd like to thank Ruth Kiesel, who is the one who has done all the arrangements for this forum this evening, and all the email contacts and phone contacts and all those things. And then we have Ellie Bauer and Robin Pudown-Bauer, who will sort the questions because they will be given to me sort of in groups so that we can try to answer similar questions at the same time as we move forward through the process. So now I would like to start with the opening statements by each one of the candidates. And the order of speaking is we will start with Mr. Tom Thurman.
Thank you, and again, too, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on. It really helps to get our word out so folks can actually see what our differences and opinions on how running government at this level is. I also thank the hotel, too, at Cliff Castle. A couple things. One is, if you didn't see the earlier debates that we had, I'm, of course, been married now to my wife, my high school sweetheart, for 38 years. And happy to do hopefully another 38. I have in my family, I have educators all in my mother's side of the family. I have a strong military on my father's side of the family. And a lot of the different things that I ever did in my life, I've joined, I was a Rotarian. I was Rotarian of the Year in 1991. I was a Kiwanian. I've done a lot of philanthropic things here and there. but I've never been able to do more than I have been able to do the last 8 years since I've been county supervisor. I have been so proud. I have multitude of items that we've brought to the public. Some of those here in the Verde Valley too. I helped and voted for the new county annex in Cottonwood. I voted to bring in the new county courthouse in Camp Verde and to enlarge the jail and to remodel portions of the jail. I brought in also and voted for the Highway 260. We accelerated the funds to ADOT so that could be within 5 years of what it was planned for. We just put a new overlayment on Beaver Flat Road. There's multitude of things that we voted for as a board, not always 3 and 0, sometimes 2 and 1, but Supervisor Davis many times had to vote against Supervisor Springer, but that's what it is. I think the Verde's done very well, and I'm proud to say that I was part of that. Some of the language that's been out there says that I have not, but that's not true if you truly look at my record. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Buck?
Hi, I'm Buck Buchanan from Camp Verde, right here, hometown boy. I have been in the valley for 16 years now. I started over in Cornville on the Apache Maid Ranch. I lived on the Apache Maid Ranch for 5 years until I finally chased down the woman that I met right after I came to town. It took me 5 years to chase her, but I finally got her. She's my wife sitting out here now. We've been together for 11 years. I'm married. I was married before and had 2 children, and I ended up getting a divorce and raising my children myself, which was quite an experience. I'm a former business owner of a couple different restaurants and bars, and I've been in the construction business literally all my life, everything from concrete to full construction of houses and remodels and commercial developments. I became a candidate for this office when I saw that there was a lot of things that were going on that I would do differently, and I thought that the Verde Valley and District 2 needed a different choice in what was going on. There's a whole litany of things that have gone on, starting from the redistricting itself, the 11th hour. All of a sudden, here's another map, alternate map A, come out from behind closed doors that no one knew about. The public input was all over. There's an issue about money for roads going to other districts when it could have stayed in the District 2. But at any rate, I've come to realize that if this job is 1/2 as hard as this campaigning, it's going to be a piece of cake. This campaigning deal is really something, and I can understand now when Chip Davis was so enthused that no one was running against him and he wouldn't have to do any campaigning. I really understand his thought in that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Buck. Wes?
Hello, I'm Wild Wes, and I'm from here in Camp Verde. I've been here for 18 years now, or a little better. My family is my gal Janice. We've been together for 15 years. And the rest of my family is my horses and my dogs. I am kind of an old-fashioned guy. I believe in the Constitution, and I believe in the town hall meeting style of government. I do not believe in modern politics the way they're going. I believe they've ruined our country. So I'm kind of on a different page than maybe some of these other guys. I've been here a long time, and I've seen a lot of good friends leave the valley that were good people. And the reason most of them have left was lack of jobs. So one of my main concerns is jobs here in the valley, in this valley, the Verde Valley. That's about all I would really have to say at this moment.
Great, thank you. We will now move on to the prepared questions that each of the candidates had ahead of time, and they will have 3 minutes to answer each one of those questions. The first question, we're going to begin with Buck, and that question is, your district spans both sides of the mountains. Is it even possible to represent both sides fairly? How would you deal with issues where there are competing needs?
Well, first of all, the mountain range over here in this one district out of the 5 districts, this is the only district that is separated by the mountain range. And that's exactly what the range does. It separates us, but it shouldn't divide us. I have been campaigning just in the last month and 6 weeks, just a whole lot, everywhere from Cordis Junction down to Black Canyon City, up to Crown King, and all the little communities that are in this district. And the problems are the same. They're no different than the problems that we have over here. And a lot of those problems have to do with the county government in the restrictions and the delays that they are putting on homeowners trying to build houses, trying to make additions to their homes. These things have to be streamlined. The current supervisors say that that is being done. They're looking at that. Well, that's been going on for years, and just in the last week, I've had a whole score of people come up to me and tell me just horror stories about their permitting in their for their houses or for an addition. So the deal with the two sides of the mountain are the problems are the same. They're no different. And if I can make that believe, or make everybody believe that we can work together and solve these problems, and we can. So that's how I bring them together. We're all in the same boat.
Great. Thank you, Buck. Wes?
Okay. While the Prescott area of Yavapai County, Arizona has had the permanent benefit of focused public planning and funding since Arizona statehood was declared, the other communities in our county have been a little less fortunate. The problem is we keep getting this side and that side. I don't see that much of a difference other than, you know, it was bigger to start with. It's going to stay bigger. And if the county supervisors if they let it happen, it's going to continue to happen. Equal distribution of necessary employment on both sides, especially here in our valley, is going to mean more of a tax base for the whole county and less taxes in the long run. So we need to develop more infrastructure here in the Verde Valley, and we need to bring more jobs to this Verde Valley. And jobs is the main thing that I have to talk about here. The Prescott Triplex area is currently employment self-sufficient but needs countywide support. Well, that's fine, but we need some support here too. So we need to get somebody in there that's going to work for us here in this valley, not just over there. And it seems like no matter what, the money just seems to go that way. But the nice thing about this year, and the reason I really wanted to get involved this year, is because we now have 5 supervisors instead of 3. It's going to be spread out a little more and a little harder for any one of us to get more than their fair share. So I think we need to just, you know, work with that in mind, that it's going to be different from now on with 5 supervisors. So if we have good representatives here in this valley, we should have some pretty good chances of increasing our gains here. Another thing that we're really overlooking here in Camp Verde that a lot of people don't think much about, we're the only town in Yavapai County that I-17 runs directly through the middle of it. We're not taking enough advantage of that. We should have industrial parks, shipping companies, many things we can do over there on that I-17 area, and we need to develop all that. There's a lot of land open there for just getting it done. So that's about where I'm at.
Thank you, Wes. Tom?
That's always been a problem since, before statehood, actually, on one side of the mountain versus the other. On this side of the mountain, it feels that, and my wife lived here for quite a while, is that side of the mountain doesn't seem like they care a dang about the Verde River. And so that's a real concern here, because the Verde River is a lifeblood of the Verde Valley. And I can tell you right now, as being a supervisor in the Prescott area for quite some time now, 8 years, I've had to represent Prescott Valley, but I've also had to represent Congress, Wilhoit, Baghdad, and Black Canyon City and Cordis and Mayor, where I live. I know the inner workings of this county. I know how things get done and how they don't get done. And I believe that with the Verde River as being a part of the equation on the concerns in the Verde Valley, I have definitely the inside connections to make sure that we cause no harm, absolutely no harm, to the Verde River. On the other side of the mountain, a lot of those areas that are in this new district I've had dealings with, they are, I can tell you right now, a lot of them do not like government intrusion in anything they do. Until they get robbed or they have some druggies next door or something, and that's a tough scenario to try to make those folks happy. I can tell you right now, I have a lot of people that believe that a building permit should be, short of being drawn up for them, that the county should not necessarily be so picky on what's going on. And I can tell you, and I feel sorry for a lot of these folks, and I do get that complaint a lot. But on the flip side, the general contractors know what's going on because that's what they do for a living. But the folks that don't, the ones that want the little room additions and things like that, they have a very hard time. Unfortunately, and I know I've gotten people mad at me for saying this before, but the way the insurance companies are, the way the lawsuits are, and everybody's so lawsuit happy these days, we have to build everything to code. We have to. And I had a plumbing company, besides, I had a construction company here for 25 years, residential and commercial, but I had a plumbing company also for a few years. And it was ridiculous after a while because every little community and area had a different take on what you should be doing. And so our plumbers were going on and they would go, oh, well, what town are we in now? How are we supposed to do it this way? Or are we supposed to do it that way? The first thing I did, we came in and we got all 9 communities in Yavapai County and the county to sit down, and we all incorporated ourselves to come out of that room stating that we're all going to be on the same building code. And that's what we can do on both sides of this mountain, that type of scenario.
Thank you, Tom. And now we will go to the second prepared question. Again, each candidate has 3 minutes to answer the question. And that question is, how do you propose dealing with the diverse issue of water? And we will start with Wes.
We have 3 minutes?
3 minutes, sir.
3 minutes? I need 3 weeks, 3 months. Tom's been working on this issue for 8 years, and we still don't have an answer on it. So, the diverse issue of water. Well, it's pretty hard to tell somebody that owns a piece of property they can't develop it because they can't drill a well. And you get one hydrology company, they give you one idea of what the water situation is like under that piece of property, and the next one will say a different one. So I think there has to be a fair way for everybody to develop, but still, water is going to be the big issue. To me, one of the most recent issues and biggest issues is not how much water we have, but the fact that our water's been poisoned in the Verde River. I don't know how many of you are aware of that. Arizona Game and Fish came in and they poisoned off bass and catfish in the river. They're preparing to put the native fish back in there, and the poison they used is a poison called rotenone. That poison works its way into the water table and into your wells, and no matter how you get that on you, shower in it, cook in it, clean your clothes, your food in it, drink it, you'll take on some of that rotenone, and that stuff is known to give people Parkinson's disease. It's a great increase in Parkinson's. So it's not really a question to me as just how much water, it's how do we protect the water we've already got from these kind of things happening to it. This question is pretty perplexing to me because we could talk for, like I say, months on this and still never have all the issues covered on it. And I think we're just going to have to take them up as each issue comes up and work on them from there and shoot them full of holes and figure out what the best solution to do is at the moment. And there's also a thing like it comes down to large cluster developments. I think all that should be put up to a vote to all the people in the community. I whenever something affects the entire water table the way some of these developments could, it's all of us that should be making the decision, not just a handful of county supervisors. It should be us that put it on the ballot for you people to vote on it. Do you want this or do you not want that? So if I could have another 3 weeks, I'll finish this. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom?
It's very perplexing. I believe Samuel Clemens said whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting, and that was back in the 1800s. And so it is a problem. You know, I understand some folks would maybe like to see go to the people on any new subdivisions, but it's not only just that. We can take that to just about anything that is happening in government being brought back to the people to vote on everything. And then really we wouldn't need supervisors, we wouldn't need legislators, we wouldn't need senators, because I believe that's what they're supposed to be hired to do. And if we don't like the decision that they made, then we get rid of them, we bring in somebody else. Water is tough. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm pro subdivisions. I am not pro lot splits. Lot splits have really decimated this county. Lot splits are the bulk of the water use in this county is coming off of unsubdivided lots. These things can go all the way down to 2-acre parcels in Yavapai County. And with that, that is a straw in the aquifers and in the areas of underground streams and fissures on every single one of those homes. And if you don't have a water company, nobody's going to conserve if you're just having an electric bill. But if you have a water company where you tier the water rates, in other words, you charge more money for the big water users, you hit the guy in the pocketbook or the gal, they're going to use less water. And then if we can use the effluent and take that sewage, turn it into something that can be used on outside landscaping. And all new subdivisions, in my opinion, should have no more landscaping unless it's either using that gray water or rainwater. It's very simple. Can be done that way too. And reduce density. If you have 1,000 acres, you could have, right as it sits right now, you could have 500 houses. Well, you know, let's get that down to 200 houses or 250 houses. Make them do a water company. Make them reuse the water. And I think we can get some of this concern over with that a lot of people have, because private property rights go back to the Constitution of the United States. Excuse me, you bought that property with something in mind, and the government had it zoned a specific zoning at that time. And nobody can take that away from you. And if the government tries to take that, I guarantee you the Supreme Court, every single time, if it goes that far, will end up giving you, the homeowner, the benefit of the doubt, and the government has to buy that property from you. So the private property rights is very strong in the United States, and especially here in Arizona. So how are we going to deal with that? And I think we can work with subdivisors to not do lot splits and to literally make it so it's more friendly to the water in the Verde River and to the environment, period. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Buck?
I didn't get these questions in advance, and that's okay. Could you read me the question again?
I would be happy to. How do you propose dealing with the diverse issue of water?
Okay. Because I have the joy of living on near the confluence of West Clear Creek and the Verde River, I want to make sure our waterways are protected. They need to be protected and preserved for generations to come. Because I'm a water manager and an irrigator, I want to make sure that our water rights don't dry up as dry as the paper that they're written on. And I really think that preserving water is the key. The way that we do that is to get the people that are living here now to start realizing that there is a water shortage now. It's not coming, it's already here. The water shortage is here, believe me. And people aren't going to realize that until they go to their spigot one day and they turn it on and the water doesn't come out. And they're going to say, well, what happened? My well went dry? And that's what's going to happen. We have to preserve water. I was on town council and I was on planning and zoning in Camp Verde. And for 3 years, when I was on planning and zoning, an agenda item would come up about how the town was going to deal with trying to conserve water. And every time it came up, it was put off till the next meeting, to the next meeting, to the next meeting, because even the planning and zoning commissioners didn't want to handle it. Nobody wanted to deal with it. They don't want to think about it. But we all have to start thinking about it. It's just not what we're going to do for future people moving in here. It's what we need to do for the people that are here right now. And believe me, we have to do something right now. It's going to run out if we don't do something. There's many ways to conserve it. The water ditches are all in a program now where they're trying to take these 100-year-old irrigation ditches and trying to bring them up to some really good capabilities of delivering water. And that's happening now. That's a good thing. There's water boards all over the place. There's a water commission in Prescott that's subsidized by the county to the tune of $30,000. There's water commissions over here, different boards, that aren't subsidized a dime. So we have to get all these commissions together. The WAC is a really good program, and all of the communities in the valley, in the district, and in the county are members of the WAC. And it's a very good organization, but there's a lot of good organizations out there also, and they're all trying to work together. And they have to come together. And that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Buck. We will now go to the audience questions, and if I may remind you, if you have more questions, please fill them out on a white card and hold them up, and Robin or Ellie in the back or Ruth will pick those cards up. You have the opportunity to ask all the candidates a question, or you can direct a question to a specific candidate. I will tell you that that's fine, but I will also allow the other candidates to answer the question that you've directed to the specific candidate, just so that you know. Also, I'm going to change the format a little because it's my purview. Several of these questions, I think, take more than the 1 minute that we had told the candidates they would have for the audience questions. So I'm going to change that to 2 minutes so that you have 2 minutes to answer each of these questions. If you don't need the time, you don't need to take it, okay? Great. The first question, and we will start with Tom. What background or experience qualifies you for this position? And what do you bring to this position?
Well, I've been an entrepreneur all my life. I started my own backhoe excavation company when I was in my 20s. I did that for a while, and I saw that the general contractors had a lot more work when they built the house than I had just doing the heavy equipment part of the house. So I went and I worked for miscellaneous different general contractors and my dad. And my uncle, and so I said, you know what, I think I need to go get a general contractor's license. So I did. I got my license, and then 3 years later, I got my commercial contractor's license. And I really believe that taught me what it takes to stretch the dollar. And a lot of people go, well, government doesn't run like a business. It should run like a business. I've been very, very happy with my tenure as a county supervisor. We have over $20 million in the bank for a rainy day fund. I have a very aggressive capital improvement program where we've been buildings that have been so badly needed. Our morgue was pathetic. We had to have a new morgue. The juvenile detention center, which is very expensive, I understand, but the laws today for kids is through the roof. There's so many things that you have to do. For 80 kids, we had to spend $14.5 million. I didn't want to spend that kind of money, but I had to do the criteria that they put up. It's period. That's what it is. And so, I'm very proud of that record. We lowered property taxes last year, the levy 10%. Wish we could have stayed down with as the houses went down in value, but over half of the money that the county receives in funding goes to the criminal justice system. And so I don't want to lay off deputies. I don't want to close libraries. I don't want to stop working on roads. These are things that we direly need, and I'm very proud of my tenure, and we got over $250 million out of ADOT, so I'm happy with that one too.
Buck?
Repeat the question, please.
Yes. What background or experience qualifies you for this position, and what do you bring to this position?
Well, first of all, I've been a business owner my entire life. Like I had mentioned earlier, I was in the construction business and I was in the restaurant business. In the last couple of years of my life, I was a registered homeowner inspection with the state of Arizona. I've been serving on Camp Verde Town Council. I've been serving on community planning and zoning. I've given myself to volunteering in a whole number of different organizations in the district around here. And I thought it was time that I stepped up and tried to reverse some of the wrongs that I saw happening on the county level. One is spending, and hopefully I'll be able to get into that in a clear answer later. But at any rate, I feel like after being in business and being in the public sector and being a volunteer and seeing the needs of seniors and of which I help out, and seeing the needs of children and the people that are put into jail from drug abuse and what happens to their children. There's a whole bunch of problems out there that we need to address, and I hope to be able to bring some clarity to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes?
All right. Well, first of all, I'm one of them guys that I don't wait for a job to come along. I go out and create my own job, make my own living. I do whatever I have to do to get by from day to day. Means, you know, pinching up a budget or using what you've got very wisely. And I think in 35 years of living that way, I've probably, you know, got a pretty good idea how to make budgets stretch. I've lived here in the Verde Valley now for better than 18 years. Yavapai County. I've seen a lot of changes. I've seen a lot of people come and go, and it seems to be a pretty shifty area, and I would like to see more stability here and more people want to stay. And one of the things that I fight for is young people. I would like to see more jobs. The young people that start out here can't make a living here, so they wind up leaving, and I don't like to see that. People leaving their traditional homes. So I'm just going to do everything I can to keep this valley going. I just want to see everybody just born here, raised here, stay here. That's their right. So these are the reasons I'm running as county supervisor, and these are the reasons that I'm going to get in there and do a good job, because I'm going to fight for the people. And when I say fight, I mean fight.
Thank you. The next question, and we will begin with Buck. What have you done in the past to make Yavapai County a better place to live?
I feel like everything that I've done since I've moved into this area 16 years ago, I've tried to better myself and better the people and the family around me. I've tried to do the right thing at the right time, and when I've seen bad things happening to good people, I try to help them out. I really enjoy being a partner with the seniors in our community. I enjoy being a partner with the youth in our community. I've coached. I've done just a whole lot of things. I feel like it's a better place right now, the people around me that I get to deal with, than it was before I moved here. And it's not because of me, but it's just the natural growth of things. But I really do enjoy helping out people. Fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't see that until I got later in life. And I think that happens to a lot of people. We're busy raising our families and trying to make a living and doing the things that we have to do. And then when we get a little bit older, we realize that we need to start giving back. And that's what I try to do. I try to give back. And I get a lot more enjoyment out of that than I did when I was younger and not doing anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes?
Could you repeat the question?
Certainly. What have you done in the past to make Yavapai County a better place to live?
What would I do to make Yavapai?
What have you done? What have you done
What have I done?
Yes.
Well, I've created jobs. You know, I have done many things to help my neighbors and my friends, and you know, just lived my life right. I don't bother anybody. I try to keep everybody out of trouble as best I can, and try to keep myself out of trouble. Doesn't always work, but I do the best I can at it. I try not to be a thorn in anybody's side when everybody wants to be a thorn in my side. It'd be real easy to be mean and hostile, but I'm not. I just try to get along and let things roll off me like water off a duck.
Thank you. Tom?
Yeah, some of the things that I have, of course, I've had a little more time at this than some of them have because I've been around here most of my life. But and of course, you know, my church, I did a lot of things with that, and like I said earlier, with the Rotary Club and the Kiwanis. But I also, as a contractor, saw that the place was starting to really boom and take off. And so I was a member of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. I became a board member of that. And in 2003, I ended up being the chairman of the Yavapai County Contractors Association. And we did a lot of different projects trying to help the county come along so folks would actually know what kind of contractor to hire. And so they weren't going to get ripped off. There was a lot of problems for a lot of years with that, and I'm very proud of some of the programs that we started with that. I just stepped down as the chairman of NACOG, which is Northern Arizona Council of Government. I was very heavily involved with the Area Agency on Aging through NACOG. And the Meals on Wheels program, we had some real problems that was being run out of Prescott, and I went ahead and researched some of that. I had a lot of complaints, and I dissolved the Prescott being top heavy, if you would, with administrative. And so now every Meals on Wheels program is now being self-maintained. And so when they have a cakewalk or do they do something to do fundraising, they get to keep the money now. And it's being successful. And I'm so proud of that. That's worked out real well. I have a lot of things. I pushed to get a $1.1 million grant for a grinder so we can start bringing private enterprise to go out in the forest, grind up all this burning that they're doing right now on the prescribed burns, and instead of burning it up, actually create it and turn it into biofuel. I was happy we just finished that. I switched the dump days to multiple dump days. I was happy with that program. We actually got to save money on that. I went to, on my own dime, went to Washington to lobby for our payments in lieu of taxes funding. And my list, I have a dozen more, but I'll stop there.
Thank you.
The end.
The next question, we're going to start with you, Wes, on this question.
Okay.
Roads are important for all of us, even more so now that the district is on both sides of the mountain. Where do you see as some possible sites for future roads?
I would start out in the Rimrock, McGuireville area. I've seen the roads out there. I've seen some of the problems out there. We have some bridge problems out there. They're very serious problems, and I think that's where we need to start. Although I'm not going to say there's not a problem with roads in every one of the 5 districts in Yavapai County. We still have a lot of dirt roads all over the state of Arizona, probably the leading dirt road state there is. But, and you know, some people like the dirt roads, some people don't. So, you know, I would have to say out there with the bridge problems would be McGuireville, Cornville, or not Cornville, Cornville also, but Rimrock, McGuireville, out that way would be where I would start.
Okay. Tom?
I was talking to Flood Control, and I said, you know, I've been at some of these meetings where people are really concerned in the Rimrock area because of flooding. And that conjoins with the road problem, and so staff has been ordered now to actually do an oversight and research on the area of the flooding that is happening in the Rimrock area. We also have the same scenario in the Black Canyon City area. What I've done in my district in the past is I've been able to take ADOT when they come in, or our own roads, and they chew up all the old asphalt. They call it millings. And actually, we mix that with oil. And so now we're paving some dirt roads for 1/10 the cost of what it would be to do regular asphalt. And that program has been worked well for years and years since I came in. I'm so proud of that. As far as new roads go, you know, I think we got enough roads now to sink a ship, to be honest with you. We have so many roads that are not county maintained that I know a lot of folks would like the county for us to take them over. But there's actually a state statute that was passed in 1997 that said we are forbidden to do that in Yavapai County. We can only pave or improve any roads that the county at this time is maintaining. It makes it very difficult. There's other avenues now for folks to do. They can have a road improvement maintenance district. We got that through the legislature 2 years ago, and I was proud to push my aunt, who, by the way, is Judy Burgess. She's a senator now down there. These things can be handled. It just takes a lot of money, and we're going to have to prioritize the bad areas, and Rimrock is a bad area, and so we're going to have to put some money down there. It wasn't my district, but it should be or will be soon. Thank you.
Buck.
Yeah, both these guys are absolutely right. In the immediate area, Rimrock is a big concern because of only one way in and one way out of that development, and they need something down there. But that's been going on for years, and hopefully it'll get done in a short period of time. But also, my deal is that I want to keep the money for roads in District 2 in District 2 and not ship it out to another district. Just in the last 8 years, a lot of money from our district, or from District 2, has gone to District 1. And that's a Williamson Valley road project out there. Absolutely goes hardly anywhere, but it's supposed to really be a big-time development out there. And now with the Yavapai Ranch development, I can see why they were throwing money out there, because they want to help out the developer out there with roads. But for millions of dollars to be taken out of this district to go out to that road project is unforgivable. And we need to put a stop to that. We need to keep the money in our district that is allowed for our district. And Mr. Thurman wants to, and he has said that the Board of Supervisors at the first of the year will vote to put all the money into one pot and not split it up 5 ways. It's split up 3 ways into the districts now. Well, if you put all the money into one pot, guess where it's going to go? It's going to go to the big pot over there in Prescott. So we need to keep that separate. We need to keep our money in our district, and we need to do our roads the way that they need to be done. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Next question, we will begin with you, Tom. Yes, Tom?
Okay.
What is your personal belief system, and how do you apply that to everyday decision-making? How would you apply that as a boss?
Well, I've applied it as I've always have, when I would own my own construction company, to the plumbing company, to my daily life, really. I was on, my opponent here, I was on Planning Zoning Commission for 5 years. I chaired it for 3. I try to treat people as if I wanted to be treated, and you know, I'm a God-fearing man. I believe in the Second Amendment. I'm pro-life, and I'm going to tell you right now, I believe what comes around goes around, and if you treat people kindly, you don't have to yell and scream and be a jerk to get something done. You can sit down and work things out, and typically you'll find out you can always get done. My brother had a friend that is passed away right now, and he was a contractor too, and he never yelled. I never heard him yell, and yet he still got a lot of stuff done. And one of the guys that I worked for was an ex-Marine, and he yelled all the time, and I actually saw him get into a fist fight one time with a subcontractor. So I don't believe that's really the way to go. And I don't think it's the way to go, and I think you can talk to people from Baghdad to Congress to mayor to Prescott, to anybody that I've had the dealings with in the last 8 years, and they'll tell you that I'm an honest and fair person, and I get things done very quickly, and I'm the prioritization. I have to back up a little bit because he brought it up that I just want to prioritize the roads and take away money from this district. Williamson Valley Road was stopped by me. In 2005, when I was approving that road, that was because it looked like that area was going to grow by 50,000 people. It stopped. I stopped it, and I had Supervisor Springer, I'll tell you right now, was so livid mad at me. She screamed and yelled for quite a few minutes, but that's the truth of the story. All we're doing now is fixing it and put a new asphalt layer on top because it needed it. It was falling apart. So that's all.
Thank you. Buck?
Well, I'll just touch on that a little bit. There's been 32 agenda items on the Board of Supervisors since the first of the year on spending money for Williamson Valley, so I don't think it stopped. And what was the question again?
Okay. What is your personal belief system, and how do you apply that to everyday decision-making? How would you apply that as a boss?
Well, I'm not a ex-Marine, I'm a former Marine, and I did enough fighting in the Marine Corps. I don't need to do it out in public. I've been a employer all my life, and I believe that over many years I can know how to treat people. I try to treat people with respect. But as far as employees go, you need to make sure that they're doing their job and not crawling in your pocket just to make you feel good. You have to make sure that they are willing to get out there and do their job in a way that will help out the people around them. They all have to work together. So I would say that, I have 1 minute. I would say that I really enjoy working with people, and I can work with people, and I think I can get the best out of them when I do work with them. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Wes?
I am not sure I understand the question.
Okay. What is your personal belief system, and how do you apply that to everyday decision-making, and how would you apply that as a boss? So how do you approach individuals when you work with them and when you want to lead them, and what philosophy do you use?
What's my income, you say?
No, the philosophy. How do you approach decision-making, and how do you find that you can get the best out of working with individuals?
Well, first of all, you have to have some humor, and a lot of what I see with the county supervisors currently, there's no humor in the job. I like to see a smile out of people. I've worked with people all my life. You know, I've been head wrangler, top hand, that kind of thing on different ranches and stables and things, and where you're working with horses, people, and lots of people that don't know anything about horses and things. So it's kind of like every day you're instructing people as well as, you know, trying to train a crew and keep everything going. And I just believe there could be more humor in the job and more just working directly with people. Myself, I would be open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I would never have my office would never be closed. I mean, myself, I would never be closed. So that's about all I can say.
Okay, thank you. The next question, and I believe we start with Buck on this one. Land use planning is directed through the county-wide plan. What are your thoughts on how the visions of local communities can be incorporated into the county-wide plan?
Well, the county-wide plan was just put out again. It was called a general plan. It's called a comprehensive plan now. And it's dictated in that plan how the county will operate and do their land planning and their land development. It's a work in progress. All general plans or comprehensive plans are made so that they can be changed because they won't get it right the first time. Things will change, and those plans can be changed. So to sit here and say that I'm going to do something as the plan goes, I look forward to the changes that'll come. Thank you.
Wes.
Well, you opened a can of worms for me. I don't know if I have enough time to explain this question. I have for a long time been opposed to a thing called United Nations Agenda 21. Agenda 21 is the planning and zoning and visioning process that to me is the underlying problem with our country. It's, to me, it's totally un-American. It's absolutely wrong for America, anywhere in America, even here in Yavapai County, anywhere. So I just, without getting into that too heavy, I believe in the old way. As I've already said, I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the town hall meeting system. And the visioning process and Agenda 21 and things like that does away with that. They go to small groups, 8, 10, 12 people, to make decisions for all of us. I believe when we make our own decisions, all of us make our own decisions, not just a small handful of us. So without saying any more, we'll wrap it up right there.
Thank you. Tom?
Yes, we had a general plan. Most areas have community plans. Beaver Creek, or excuse me, Cornville worked for a long time and brought together a community plan, but the state of Arizona came down and said, you guys need to change that. And so now it's called a comprehensive plan. I think it's semantics. I think it means the same thing, but it's a lot of work to come up with a comprehensive plan because we are so diverse in Yavapai County. We have, what does Sedona really have in common with Congress? What does Baghdad have in common with Prescott? We are so diverse, it's hard to create a plan that's a fits-all type of thing. And my hat's off to our folks at staff. We decided this last year. We're a little bit early. It wasn't really due by state statute to 2015, but we did it now for the purpose of we're not real busy right now. There isn't, new houses are just not going up much unless it's private money. And so we put staff on it. The last time that we had to do it, we spent over $250,000 to get it done by private enterprise. Well, staff did it in the neighborhood of about $15,000. So we have experts that aren't as busy as we normally would be. Now it's picking up. I'm happy to say it is picking up, but we got a great comprehensive plan, as Buck alluded to. It's not in concrete, and anything can change, and it's just a suggestion of where we like to see homes built, where we like to see commercial property built. It's just an overall layout, and it's a good layout. And I'm, as some of the boards that I was on that I've did my tenure with, that I am now on the Rural Transportation Advisory Council Board, which is for roads in Arizona, for the 13 rural counties. And planning is so important there too, and prioritizing where we need the roads to move most of the people. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Wes, we will start this question with you. Do you think that additional county facilities are necessary? How will they be funded? And where do you see them built?
What kind of facilities?
County facilities.
No. Let's stop spending money and let's start using it wisely. I've already stated that. What we need to do is look at the resources the county has at this time. And I'm opposed to taxes and extra taxes and more taxes. It's time for taxes to stop. And the only way county is going to build more is by taxing us more. So no, I'm opposed to further development of county properties other than for things that everybody can use or things that will generate jobs, such as concert places, parks and places where people can have wedding receptions and different things on that order. And we don't have much of that here in our little valley, so I think we could do some of that. But as far as some of these major county buildings, new jails, I'm opposed to any of that. I'm just opposed to spending more dollars because it's going to mean more taxes, no matter what they say or how you cut it. That's what it is.
Thank you. Tom?
As I alluded to before, we have $20 million in the bank, and we've had an aggressive building program going on. There really isn't hardly anything else we need to do. We've done what's needed to do. Most of the buildings that we had where we're replacing or upgrading are 30, 40 years old. I will say this, the county courthouse in downtown Prescott has been an icon for Yavapai County since statehood, or before. And it's in dire repair. It needs a lot of renovating, and that needs to continue. In fact, it's sinking. I don't know if some of you saw it on the YouTube or on the newspaper. There's parts of it actually sinking, and we can't lose that. And I was happy that I caught it just by accident, seeing some emails going out, and things like that. I'm proud to say that I picked up on. As I also alluded to earlier, the morgue was it was almost. And the law enforcement people that know about the morgue, it had no security. It was in a very bad location. It had the health of the workers in there, and anybody that brought the bodies, if you will, in there. It was sad at what it was, and that it was allowed to go that long. So we built a new morgue. Evidence storage, folks that don't know it, we keep most everything for perpetuity in evidence storage at the Sheriff's Department, forever. And so those items, you just keep piling it up, and so we ran out of room where the sheriff is in that storage, so we built a new evidence storage building. As I said before too, the kids were sleeping on the floor on cots. It was so bad too, and it was just like a I would say a prison in Russia or something. It just had nothing for these kids. It was nothing to rehabilitate children. It was just to incarcerate, and that was disgusting. And so the kids mean a lot to me. And the court and the jail is here. This was before I came in. The jail is over here in Camp Verde, and so we needed to stop this driving back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so we built a new courthouse where the jail is. Well, that's a novel idea. You don't have to drive back and forth so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Buck.
Well, you know, just a while back, there was some more money thrown in for the juvenile detention center, just as an example. And so I got online and I wanted to know what the juvenile detention center was all about. And I've got to agree with Tom that, boy, I've never seen anything as deplorable as that juvenile detention center was. I mean, from every aspect of it, from every little plumbing fixture up to the walls, everything was just deplorable. So the fact that we needed a new detention center, I absolutely agree with you. If you watch the video, and it's on the county website, please watch it and see what's going on. The dedication of the center is going to be this Friday, I believe, and it's a wonderful facility, and it's a very expensive facility. But then here right at the end, when they're going to open it up, they vote for $210,000, $210,000 for landscaping in front of the building, because they just realized here in the last month or so that the landscaping was designed for the back of the building. So now they have to bring it around the front. And Mr. Thurman and Mrs. Springer decided that rather than having some type of dirt or rock in the front of the building, they're going to put AstroTurf down and make it into some kind of playground, I guess. I don't know. This is a detention center. The detention center is absolutely beautiful, the new one. But we don't need to be spending $210,000 for landscaping on a building. We can do better than that. That's it.
Thank you. The next question, we'll start with you, Tom. There are tribes on both sides of the mountain. What is your experience working with tribes as sovereign nations, and how do you propose to resolve issues that affect both governments?
Wow. Okay. I've worked with the Yavapai tribe as on my board tenure to get rid of our sewer over at our jail. When we started looking at building that new courthouse there, we saw that the sewer plant at the jail was inadequate. So we needed to either build a much larger one, but we went to the tribe and asked them, because they put a whole myriad of different new sewer projects in their own property over here for housing. So with conversations with them, we've tied in now. We have what they call an IGA, an intergovernmental agreement, and we've tied in with them. And now our sewage from the new courthouse and the jail is now going across the highway and into the tribe. And I'm happy to see and that's some of the things that we can do in Yavapai County working with the tribes. The tribes are a little different billywig, and I can allude to this because I have a lot of experience with it as being part of NACOG, Northern Arizona Council of Governments. A big portion of Coconino, Navajo, and Apache counties is the Navajo Nation, and it's the BIA, the Bureau of Indian Affairs, is kind of a separate entity. It's almost like a different country, if you will, and so it's difficult sometimes to figure out ways on how we can help each other and not cross that line that you're not supposed to cross. And so we have certain guidelines that feds have that we can do when we work in conjunction. Right now, one of the great programs I'm happy with the tribe is that they give some money back from the casino, from the profit, to certain nonprofit groups within the county, and they do a great job at that. I'm very happy to see that. We're working. We just gave I think it was $1.1 million to the Yavapai tribe in Prescott to help them with their new road connecting from 69 to 89, and those are some of the things that we've been doing.
Thank you. Buck?
I haven't had the opportunity to address or to mingle with the tribe over in the Prescott area. I have had that opportunity here. My wife and I have been big supporters of their heritage programs, and last month I went to the tribal council meeting here in Camp Verde and addressed the tribal council and let them know that I had an ear for them if they needed for them to speak to a supervisor and find out how we can come together as two different governments and help each other out. And they are helping out. The Yavapai Apache Nation has a public transit program that is just starting off the ground now, and it's going to be wonderful for this Verde Valley. I was at a meeting with the nation and with the different governments of the Verde Valley, intergovernmental meeting, and it's going to be tremendous to move people from our community to Cottonwood for doctor's appointments and stuff. So to work with the Yavapai Apache Nation and the other nations, I think, is imperative for any government in the district or in the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes?
Wow, what an overlooked jewel. We need to really work more with our Indians here in Yavapai County. I used to work a lot with the Native American tribes up north on my Wild West shows and things. And I like the philosophy of the Native Americans. I like everything that goes with them. And the problem I see is the same just about anywhere they're at. The governments off the reservations don't really, they say they want to work with them, but then they don't work with them. And that's a real problem and a real concern. If there's one group of people that could tell us in the county, all of the rest of us, hey, we don't care what you think, you can go take a hike because we've got our reservation, we've got our home. They don't need us, we need them. And that's the way I look at that.
Thank you. The next question, we will start with Buck. What do you see is the role of the county in economic development?
Huge. Small business is the cornerstone of economic development in the county, in the district, and on both sides of this great mountain that we have over here. There are several organizations out there working for economic development now, and they've splintered off. As a supervisor, I would hope to try and bring those groups together so that they have not only a common purpose, but a common goal. And with that, we could create small businesses. Small businesses are what's going to drive this district and this county and northern Arizona. We're not going to get Intel, we're not going to get Microsoft and things like that up here. It's going to be small businesses, and those will do with tourism, and will do with agriculture, and will do with any other small business that can subsidize and help out those type of businesses. Thank you.
Wes?
Oh boy, small business. I believe, first of all, we're going to have our towns learn what small business is, because I don't believe they know, because the way they treat small businesses. It's not a good subject for me to get started on with only 3 minutes to talk, because this is another one that could take days to come up with an answer. But I believe small business is the backbone of this country, and I think about any way a government that applies to them, they should bend in every way possible to make a small business happen. Not try try to block them off at every turn and every step of the way. Business is hard enough. People are having enough trouble right now with their finances, and when you have a small business that's trying to depend on those funds, and then you have a local government that all they want to do is stop business, it's not a good combination. So we need to do more to help the small businesses, and whatever it takes, because that is where the money is ultimately going to be made.
Thank you. Tom?
Yes. One of the projects that I'm very proud of that I've been involved with now for a little while is the Black Canyon Trails Coalition. And what the BCTC is, they're bringing in a trail from Ben Avery Shooting Range, bless you, to all the way to through here, all the way up to Coconino National Forest. And at this time, we are at the Prescott National Forest line, which is just about 6 miles north of Highway 69. We just opened up, I took some of my park fund money that I had left, and I put a new bathroom at the trailhead in Black Canyon City. The use there was huge, and as you can imagine, we don't need that much usage. There'll be little white things around all the little cactus out there, so it needed a bathroom badly. And so we just finished that in coordination with the BCTC. Those things actually have a way of getting grant funds to help the communities as these trails go through those communities. And we can use those funds for the betterment of those communities, not only for economic development, but also get kids off the couch. Highway 260, I want to get that finished. We bifurcated or divided that highway from the Corey Buick there, Chevrolet, and took it into Cottonwood, and this leg needs to be finished now to I-17. That'll create more business along that route, and that'll be a great help too. Also, the Board of Supervisors, the other two voted me down because I really believe that we need some economic development help in this county for all the different groups that we have. I don't want to take jobs away from Prescott to bring to Verde. I don't want to take jobs away from Sedona to give it Camp Verde. But what I don't want to see is Phoenix constantly getting all the work. And so if we want the jobs here, that's what we got to do. We need to be able to work together to do that as an umbrella. And my time is out again.
Great, thank you. Okay, gentlemen, I don't think so. This question will take you 2 minutes. So how about 30 seconds to a minute on this one, okay? Okay. If elected, where would your office be? The county building in Prescott, the county building in Cottonwood, someplace else, and why?
Someplace else or what? I don't know where else. I will not be in the sheriff's building. Most of the people that will vote for me will not come to my office if I'm in the sheriff's office. So somewhere else.
Thank you. Tom.
I'm flabbergasted. Anyway, I have someone that told me, another supervisor, well, you know, you should be centrally located like they do in Maricopa County. And I completely disagree with that. I'm not going to make somebody from Camp Verde to drive all the way to Prescott to see me. Being that this county in this district is now split on both sides of the mountain, I believe that I would be a couple days or more in Prescott Country Club. We own some property there. We have a building there, the county does. And we have the building over by the jail, somewhere in that jail complex courthouse, or even in the sheriff area or county attorney or something. They already agreed that they would give me a spot in there too. I think a county supervisor should really be where his constituents are. And so I'd be half the time over there and half the time over here. I think that makes sense.
Thank you. Buck.
Yes. Well, after all the money that was spent on the courthouse out here on 260, I think that it should be a closet or something over there for me. I would have definitely have an office over here in Camp Verde. And then in order to get down closer to the southern part of the district, Cordes Junction's only 30 miles away, but Black Canyon City is at the far end. So I think somewhere along the 169 corridor would be a good spot, anywhere from Cordes Junction in to have a secondary office that would be opened only X amount of time. That's going to be dictated by need. I'm not going to say I'm going to spend 2 days here and 2 days there. It's going to be need. I might spend 5 days or 10 days in one spot and then need to go to the other one. I really don't know that. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one real quick question for you, Buck. Are you the former Yavapai County Sheriff?
Absolutely not.
Great.
Can I answer that a little further?
No, I think that's good.
Okay.
Whoever asked the question, if they want more information, can get it afterwards. How's that? The next question, and we'll start with you, Buck. Tom Thurman has almost 8 years of service in the county. Chip Davis has almost 16 years. Do you believe elected officials at this level are career politicians or public servants?
Oh, there's no question in my mind they're career politicians. Anybody that stays in office for more than 4 years or 8 years, I believe, are career politicians. I'm absolutely confirmed that we should have term limits on all elected officials. We have it on the President of the United States. Why we don't have it on the other legislature and Congress, I don't know. Why we don't have it on state officials, on some cases we do, but we really should have term limits on all of our elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. Wes?
I'm a firm believer in two-term limits, and if it isn't a law, you should make it a law of your own if you're a politician.
Okay.
I'm glad it's 8 years because it just happened to be I have 8 years. With the new districting coming in, this is a new area for me, and so it's really I am the new guy here. For one. Two is I don't consider myself a politician. I've been a hands-on. I'm not like some of the others. I've been hands-on the whole time, and you can tell and talk to people, and they'll tell you that I've been out there. I have a backhoe left over from my construction company. I've actually helped folks tear down their house or their old trailer that was a nuisance in the neighborhood and squished it and put it in a dumpster or roll-off. I've helped fire district over in Mayer. They had some problems with drainage. They were going to get charged a fortune, and I took my back over there and I did it myself. I've helped numerous people who were either elderly or handicapped clean up their yard because their neighbors were complaining and they were not capable of doing that. I go constantly to Property Owners Association meetings, community meetings. I'm out on the roads constantly. You can ask my road department. In fact, Sheriff Waugh, who is another one that our ex-sheriff who has endorsed me, said that we were out on a road out in Castle Hot Springs, and I made him stop the car because there was a big rock in the road, and I was afraid somebody might have hit the rock. And I made him stop so I could get out and throw the rock out of the road. And he says, "You got to be kidding me." He says, "You're doing road maintenance too?" And I said, "You know, I do whatever it takes." And I've always felt that way. And that's why I don't consider myself a politician. I consider myself a public servant. And I understand term limits. But if someone's in there that they're doing a good job, why throw them out for somebody that is chancy? Thank you.
Thank you. That's the end of the time that we have actually for audience questions. I know there are a few questions that didn't get answered. All the candidates are willing to stay after the forum so that you can speak to them individually and get your further questions answered or clarification if you need it or whatever. So now we will move to the closing statements by each of the candidates. They will have 2 minutes to do that, and we will do it in the opposite order that they did for their opening statements. And therefore, we will begin with you, Wes, for your closing statement, and you have 2 minutes.
My mission statement is just to make Yavapai County a better place to live and to help us over here on this side of the mountain. I really don't like to refer to it as a mountain. It's a molehill. If we make it a mountain, it will be a mountain. And I just don't believe in doing that. So that's my mission statement, is to try to do better government, less taxes, less future taxes. Just, I'm a no guy when it comes to government. And that would be my mission statement.
Thank you. Tom.
Yes, I want to thank all of you, of course, for listening to this on TV, if you're still listening, and for those folks here tonight. I think most of you know me. You've not always heard the truth. You've heard a lot of lies, really, that some of the media has put out there. I've worked very hard for my district that I represent right now, as you can imagine, through my stats. And I would work very hard for this new district that's been created. I have a lot of people endorsing me. I have multiple mayors endorsing me. I have fire chiefs endorsing me. I'm on the original steering committee for MAT Force, which is the drug task force. I'm very involved with the kids. I'm very involved with many different groups. But the Sheriff Buck Buchanan, no relation, sent this, and I asked him if I could use this, and he said absolutely, and says, please accept this communication as my personal endorsement of your candidacy for re-election. I believe it is most important that you continue in your capacity with the redistricting changes that have taken place this year, increasing the number of supervisors 3 to 5. This will provide needed tenure on the board, given that only you and one other candidate have long-term knowledge of county government operations. At minimum, 3 of the supervisors will be new, facing both new and long-standing issues. Your experience has demonstrated leadership and has been an asset to the county, in which I am personally appreciated for during my tenure as Yavapai County Sheriff. That's Sheriff Buck Buchanan, Sheriff Steve Waugh, Sheriff Scott Masher, Chief Bill Fessler, many fire chiefs. That's how I work with these folks. The Gladiator Fire, I was a huge part of that. I'm a part of emergency management in the state of Arizona. I deal with what needs to be done, and as anybody saw on TV, I was there every day at the fire.
Thank you, Tom. And finally, Buck.
Oh, yes. I have felt all along that I would make a good county supervisor, and I truly believe that. I will be hands-on. I will be there for people to get a hold of me, to talk to me, and I will listen to their problems. Tom Thurmond says that he's got connections. No doubt that he had connections. Tom Thurmond's got all these people that are supporting him. Well, if you've got that many people in your pocket, you better start checking the pockets, because favors are owed. I'm a clean slate, new beginnings, new district. I will fight for the people of Yavapai County as a whole, and we'll make this county better. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of the Greater Verde Valley Chapter, I'd like to thank the candidates this evening for being here. We greatly appreciate it. And to thank all of you for also being in attendance to ask your questions and to become more informed. I would like to remind all of you to please vote, whether it be early or on Election Day. And again, thank you all for coming.